Hello everybody and welcome back to the Movie Blues. Today on the show we're going to be looking at the best kaiju scenes in non-kaiju movies. So no Godzilla movies, no Gamera movies, no Pacific Rim 2 Electric Boogaloo. The main rule of determination for this list is that these movies don't have the monster's name as the title, or that they don't revolve around the monster in question as the central plot of the film.
This looks extraordinarily bad.
Getting a kaiju monster in a non-kaiju monster movie is like getting epic sloppy toppy on Christmas morning. It's got nothing to do with the holiday, but it sure feels good anyway.
No, you cannot joke about that.
Yeah, that's not funny.
So join me today on the show as we look at some of the best giant monster scenes in non-giant monster movies. If I've missed any that you love, make sure to let me know in the comments below. And please subscribe to the channel or I will be unwillingly sacrificed to the ancient sleeping god Cthulhu. And with that, let's get this list started.
Jerusalem.
Jerusalem is one of my favorite found footage horror movies ever, showing up in my first list video on this channel for 20 forgotten found footage hidden gems. This is a great little horror movie that follows two American tourists as they visit Tel Aviv in Israel for a vacation, only to be plunged into a nightmare scenario where the literal gates of hell open up, releasing a horde of demons and fallen angels onto an unsuspecting city. And as we all know, there's never been anything shocking or violent that's happened in Israel, so this is a particularly shocking turn of events. As all hell quite literally breaks loose in Jerusalem, with zombie angels and big-mouth demons roaming the streets looking for prey, we catch a quick glimpse of a giant monster lumbering across the city. The length of actual monster footage of this thing amounts to about 10 seconds of the movie. Yet, it's enough to be truly shocking and terrifying.
Last zoom in. What is that?
The NEPHILIM, which is a giant from biblical times, is caught on camera by the main character of the movie, who's been filming all of this with a pair of POV camera glasses that her brother gifted her at the start of the vacation. While the actual footage of these NEPHILIM is all too brief, the way that it's shot to scale and the actual sense of dread it brings to this escalating situation is truly effective.
The NEPHILIM, the mighty giant. We are fucked.
This bad boy never shows up in the movie again, but he represents how truly lost of a situation these people find themselves in as the city of Jerusalem tears itself apart around them. It's also great to see a kaiju in a found footage movie outside of Troll Hunter and of course Cloverfield. All in all, a very cool kaiju scene in a very cool non-kaiju movie, in this blink and you'll miss it appearance from a giant monster.
Last zoom in.
Here I come. Oh, here I come. Oh.
The Green Knight.
The Green Knight was a movie that had a profound effect on me, the effect being how quickly the movie put me to sleep. I was really excited for David Lowery's dour A24 fantasy epic The Green Knight, but found myself drifting off into the nether realm with poisonous levels of boredom as the movie limbered on with zero regard for pace or intrigue. Instead of a rollicking fantasy epic reminiscent of Frank Frazetta, we got a drab drama where Slumdog Millionaire pre-comes in his hands like Jim from American Pie.
Oh no.
One moment that I actually really appreciated in this slog is when the main character comes upon a horde of giants. And I don't mean he comes upon them, I mean he encounters them. In this mysterious and interesting scene, Gawain sees a group of CEWRI, or giants, roaming across some foggy and ominous terrain. The CEWRI is a prominent figure in Welsh mythology from the Arthurian era, which includes legends of giants alongside those of witches, dragons, and monsters. Thus, the giants in Lowery's film are a throwback to both the original Green Knight poem and other stories of Welsh tradition as well. While these giant monsters amounted to nothing in the way of actual plotting in the film, they carry this foreboding and mysterious vibe that hints at what this movie could have really been like if it wasn't so dreadfully boring. Clearly using real actors for these giants gives them an uncanny and surreal quality that I really appreciated, highlighting one of the most memorable moments from an otherwise forgettable nap of a film. And in terms of famous literary kaiju showing up in non-kaiju movies, there is nothing more epic than the appearance of H.P. Lovecraft's Cthulhu monster in a random movie starring T.J. Miller and Bella from Twilight.
Underwater.
Spoilers ahead for the movie Underwater, because the appearance of this kaiju was kept fully out of the trailers ahead of the film. So if any of this interests you, you may want to pause this video and check out this awesome sci-fi horror gem from 2020. The marketing for this film cleverly focused on the smaller creatures who are the main antagonists of the movie, while burying the big lead and providing a true surprise for kaiju fans everywhere. In 2050, the Kepler 822, a research and drilling facility at the bottom of the Mariana Trench, is struck by what is assumed to be a strong earthquake. Soon after, a rash of monsters surrounds the facility, which in their own right have awesome designs and are seriously creepy. But as this movie finally hits its crescendo, the ancient god Cthulhu emerges for an epic final boss battle. According to director William Eubanks, he was written in the script as a big whale-like creature, a massive behemoth. And in designing the movie, we were done shooting, but obviously we never shot the behemoth because we were going to do him later. We were early enough in the design that we were able to shift to a more mystical being. So that's where we started going Lovecraftian. So I was like, alright, we're making Cthulhu here. And Cthulhu he made, with the end of this film featuring an appearance from one of the most famous kaiju in all media history. While the rest of the movie followed the crew of the Kepler battling these smaller monsters amidst the crushing depths of the ocean, the final moments of the film featured this unforgettable giant kaiju beast from the depths of Lovecraftian literary hell. But Underwater isn't the only film to glimpse at a giant Lovecraftian kaiju in its third act, because Hellboy from 2004 has one of the greatest appearances of an ancient god of any film out there.
Hellboy.
Guillermo del Toro's comic book opus Hellboy follows the titular spawn of Satan as he battles against Rasputin, who is attempting to use Nazi black magic to unleash the ancient gods of chaos upon the earth. And while this movie has Samael, who's like a dog monster, and the Behemoth, which is a big hentai tentacle monster, it also features some positively epic glimpses of the OGDRU JAHAD. Mostly inspired by the great old ones of H.P. Lovecraft's Cthulhu mythos, the JAHAD are behemoth nightmares from the Hellboy comic series, unknowably huge gods that have been unwillingly locked in a crystal by their creator for causing untold chaos in our reality. These creatures were designed by Wayne Barlow with original Hellboy creator Mike Mignola, and are shown only in brief glimpses that seemingly hint at the unfathomable size and power of these mysterious beings. At times, you can only see the massive JAHAD encased in a crystal prison floating in the abyss of space, with a couple quick glimpses of their physiology that are gorgeously animated and are truly mysterious. Like, look at this eerie, ocular shit. I particularly love this one incredible shot of the JAHAD nearly breaking through into our reality, with classic Lovecraftian tentacles branching through a portal that merely hints at their actual size and glory. Hellboy is a great action sci-fi fantasy epic, and while the JAHAD are merely hinted at throughout the movie and barely ever seen, they cast a real spell over the film as mysterious kaiju antagonists that thankfully never break through to our reality. And while we're on the topic of reality-bending tentacled kaiju monsters, let's take a step back to the 90s to look at one of my favorite aquatic tentacle kaiju monsters to ever phase into our dimension.
Sphere.
Spoilers for the Michael Crichton film Sphere from the 90s here, folks. So if you, for some reason, have been waiting until your 69th birthday to watch this movie, you might want to pause the video now and skip ahead a little bit. Sphere is one of my all-time favorite Michael Crichton novels and one of my favorite C-tier Michael Crichton films. It's like Congo if it sucked 14% less and wasn't accidentally hilarious.
Stop eating my sesame cake. Stop eating my sesame cake!
Sphere's plot revolves around an underwater base full of scientists who are attempting to make first contact with an alien race, whose ship has been discovered crashed at the bottom of our ocean. I won't spoil every reveal in this movie if I can help it, but for the sake of this video, we have to discuss the film's surprise and momentary antagonist. Fans of fried calamari and hentai rejoice, because the monster lurking in the depths of the ocean in the movie Sphere is a giant squid. Like all the best selections on this list, the giant squid from Sphere is barely ever glimpsed outside of a tentacle here and a sonar reading there. And of course, there is this positively chilling lead up to the monster's appearance, with squid eggs beginning to mysteriously rain down all across the base, causing epic levels of anticipation and tension as the beast nears closer. What the squid actually is, or isn't, is something that I can't really go into without spoiling the central conceit of this movie. But it's safe to say that we somehow, once again, have a momentary glimpse of a tentacled behemoth ripped straight out of the pages of classic literature. This time as a nod to 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, probably one of my favorite movies and novels ever made. Again, the filmmakers of Sphere use clever camera work, brief glimpses of the creature, and some really great sound design to haunt us with the appearance of this giant monstrosity born from our worst fears. And when it comes to flash glimpses of tentacled Lovecraftian kaiju in the third act of a non-kaiju movie, Jesus Christ, talk about a niche topic, then I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the behemoth monster found at the end of one of the best Stephen King adaptations ever made.
The Mist.
The Mist is a fantastic 2007 sci-fi horror film starring The Punisher and every annoying character from The Walking Dead, and features one of my all-time favorite monster designs and kaiju moments from all of cinema history. The film revolves around a mysterious mist rolling into a small town in Maine, a setting that you've surely never seen in a Stephen King property before, bringing with it a host of bugs and monsters and all kind of creepy critters from an alternate dimension. This is a famously bleak movie, and as it descends into its utterly hopeless third act, we get a quick glimpse at a monster that violates our sense of reality entirely. Like the monster at the end of Hellboy and the originally written monster from the end of Underwater, this creature is once again named the Behemoth, and in this case, the name is truly fitting. I'll never forget this moment from The Mist as we see the behemoth shrouded in fog for its first and only screen time. As you can see from this list so far, I absolutely love kaiju moments full of intrigue, mystery, and unfathomable scale, which is truly the best way to film a kaiju monster, and not so much the way that they're filmed in slop media from today, where it just kind of looks like an ADHD-riddled 3-year-old smashing their action figures together. The behemoth in this movie represents the true loss of hope and the influx of unknowable terror that the mist brought with it, blowing not only the characters' minds, but the audience's mind as well. This is how you do it, guys. This is how you show a monster from a different dimension. Take note, MonsterVerse hack stands. Sure, there is a full detailed design for this beast in the behind-the-scenes material, but director Frank Darabont made a wise decision to obscure this creature enough to leave it mysterious and beyond comprehension. It's called restraint, folks, and it seems to be a concept that movies today have lost entirely. And speaking of things that are lost entirely, one of the best kaiju scenes in all non-kaiju cinema history comes from a sequence that was cut from the final film and lost entirely. Well, not entirely. I mean, you can see it on YouTube, but I'm trying to use this as a shaky transition, so just roll with it.
Little Shop of Horrors.
Little Shop of Horrors is one of the greatest movie musicals ever made, coming out in 1987, which was the year that I was born. So naturally, I grew up with this masterpiece constantly on repeat at my house on VHS. But I never imagined that there was an alternate ending to this movie that finished up with some truly epic kaiju action. The movie follows the plot of the musical, where down on his luck Seymour, played to perfection here by Rick Moranis, is nearly killed by the monstrous plant Audrey that has been slowly growing and taking over his life. While the theatrical cut of this movie concludes with a literal white picket fence happy ending, the deleted alternative ending to this film features an all-out kaiju attack when the Audrey plant evolves into a giant monster bent on total annihilation. This alternate ending can be easily watched on YouTube and is filled with awesome, awe-inspiring puppetry, incredible miniature work, and some truly innovative special effects. While this ending was deemed too dark for general audiences, it's a little piece of kaiju glory and an awesome spectacle of destruction that should have absolutely been kept in the film. I mean, the final frame of this bad boy literally has the Audrey plant bursting through the movie screen to attack the audience. Now this is fucking pod racing. Holy shit. And if you think that the end of Little Shop of Horrors is the only third act kaiju action from a hilarious comedy, you are sadly mistaken. Because one of the most epic kaiju scenes in a non-kaiju movie can be found in the strangest of places.
Crank 2, High Voltage.
What can be said about the ending of Crank 2 High Voltage other than, holy shit, this is amazing? Probably one of the most underrated sequels in the history of cinema, Crank 2 is far away one of the most batshit nuts movies ever devised by the human race. Well, the first Crank was a zany, high-octane action movie that didn't leave much of an impression on me. Crank 2 is like the Evil Dead 2 of Jason Statham movies. I love when the sequel of a movie can just veer off into pure campy comedy gold. And Crank 2 is a great example of how a sequel can flip the original movie on its head and then just explode with crazy. The ending of Crank 2 is a symphony of sin, a batshit conclusion to one of the weirdest and wildest movie sequels ever. And the crescendo of this third act, insanity, is the classic kaiju fight between Jason Statham and the film's antagonist, who both morph into massive-sized versions of themselves that then duke it out one last time in a miniature set that calls to mind the best of the Power Rangers TV show and Showa-era Godzilla. This is CHEVZILLA, the monster-sized version of CHEVZILLA, and one of the weirdest things you'll ever see in a movie in your goddamn life. There is no rhyme or reason or explanation as to why CHEVZILLA morphs into a giant Zord at the end of this movie. And I'll never forget how hard this scene made me laugh and frankly blew my mind. The music, the miniatures, the grainy cinema quality of this fight just give off this amazing retro kaiju vibe that simultaneously makes no sense and yet kicks tons of ass. A truly bananas conclusion to honestly one of the funniest and most insane movies of our generation. There's literally no reason why you shouldn't seek this movie out and watch it immediately. This is top tier crazy, and it's aided by such sincere special effects and filmmaking gags that I can't help but praise this as one of the greatest boss battles in action movie history. I have no idea how a studio greenlit this, agreed to this, and paid for it. But thank God they did, because the end of Crank 2 is one of the most ridiculous and outlandish things you will ever see in a movie. When it comes to ridiculous kaiju moments in non-kaiju movies, you gotta give it up for the king of this kind of craziness. And that's gonna be a movie that plenty of people love to hate.
Ready Player One.
Ready Player One is an absolute orgy of pop culture slop. A pretty good movie based on a pretty good book that people just love to hate on. And while I was a pretty huge fan of the book and the movie, I can understand the criticism surely of both. But we aren't here to bash movies, unless it's The Green Knight. We're here to give flowers to non-kaiju movies featuring insane kaiju moments, and this movie has a real handful of insanity in its final battle. While they could have gone even further with this final battle, it still included some truly epic kaiju crossover moments that I'll never forget. Not to mention, the beginning of the film featured one of the best iterations of King Kong ever put to film. I mean, this thing is so much cooler than the trash MonsterVerse Kong with dental problems. But it's the end of Ready Player One, where it feels like Steven Spielberg overturned a chest full of action figures just to smash them together in a pile. We got the Iron Giant out of total obscurity here, going toe-to-toe with an army of baddies alongside a Gundam robot and, yeah, fucking MECHAGODZILLA. This final battle is a rollicking example of kaiju mayhem in a non-kaiju movie, and is a celebration of giant monster mashes unlike anything ever committed to screen outside of a YouTube fantasy battle video. And believe me guys, this list could easily go on for another hour, but I want to leave it here for you guys to discuss in the comments below. There are crazy kaiju all across cinema history, in places you'd never expect them. From the giant turtle in Aladdin 3, The King of Thieves, to the giant starfish at the end of The Suicide Squad, to the planet-sized kaiju in Starship Troopers 3, Marauder. So yeah, I mean, which other ones am I missing here? Is Shayfrillis technically a kaiju from Moana? Which kaiju moments in non-kaiju movies are your favorite? Let me know in the comments, and once again, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, I am DS Lyons of the Movie Blues saying bye-bye.
Cause I love you, and I love you, and I love you, and I've seen all your movies, and I love your movies, and I think you're the best.